Far away from cities, noise, and tall buildings, there was a secret valley surrounded by emerald green hills. The air there smelled like fresh rain, and golden sunlight kissed every leaf. In the middle of that paradise was a village unlike any other, Morvana, the modern village of peacocks. The peacocks of Morvana were not ordinary birds. They could talk, build, and dream like humans. Their feathers glowed with magical colors, blue like the ocean, green like the forest, and gold like sunshine. The houses of Morvana were made of polished wood and shining feathers. Every roof glittered under the morning sun. When night came, the whole village sparkled with soft golden lights made by fireflies resting in tiny glass jars. The sound of laughter filled the air, peacock chicks playing near crystal ponds, elders telling stories of the old times, and dancers spreading their feathers like living rainbows. Morvana was not just a village. It was a world of color, beauty, and joy. At the heart of Morvana stood a grand palace made of white stone and blue glass. There lived King Pavo, the wisest and most graceful of all peacocks. King Pavo's feathers shimmered like 1,000 jewels. But what made him truly beautiful was his gentle heart. Every morning, King Pavo would climb the highest hill and address his people. His words were a gentle reminder that true beauty lies not in the colors of one's feathers, but in the kindness of one's heart and the creativity of one's spirit. Under his guidance, the kingdom of Morvana flourished, a place where grace and wisdom shone brighter than any jewel. The peacocks listened and nodded. They were proud of their colors and their talents. But among them was one young peacock who saw the world differently. His name was Neo. Neo was young, curious, and full of strange ideas. While other peacocks practiced dancing or polishing their feathers, Neo built things, small machines that could fly, spin, and even sing. He used dry leaves, twigs, and colorful stones to make gadgets that amazed the chicks. Tiny windmills that glowed at night, feather brushes that painted in the air, and little robots that could whistle tunes. But not everyone liked his creations. Some older peacocks laughed at him. "Neo, you waste your time," said one. "We peacocks are born to show beauty, not play with sticks," said another. Neo would just smile and keep working. He dreamed of making life in Morvana easier and brighter. One evening, while he sat near the pond, King Pavo came to him. The old king looked at his inventions and said kindly, "You have a special mind, Neo. Never stop dreaming. One day, your ideas will help not just you, but all of Morvana." Those words stayed in Neo's heart forever. Days turned into weeks. Morvana grew more beautiful than ever. Peacocks danced every sunrise near the glittering ponds, their feathers shining like waves of jewels. Merchants sold fruits that sparkled like gems. Children played with colorful kites that touched the clouds. Neo still worked quietly in his small workshop, creating something new every day. A feather fan that ran on wind, a lantern powered by moonlight, and a rain catcher made of shells. Life was peaceful, calm, and filled with joy. But sometimes, beauty hides a coming storm. One morning, dark clouds gathered over Morvana. The wind blew hard, and the forest began to shake. Peacocks looked up at the sky nervously. Within hours, heavy rain poured down like never before. Lightning flashed across the valley. The shining ponds overflowed, turning streets into rivers. Houses made of wood and feathers began to break. The fireflies flew away, leaving the village in darkness. "Save the chicks. Protect the nests," cried the elders. But the water kept rising. King Pavo tried to calm everyone, but even his palace began to flood. Fear spread through Morvana like a shadow. In that chaos, Neo ran to his workshop. He looked at his inventions and whispered, "This is the moment. I can save them." Neo pulled out his newest creation, floating nests made from light wood and air shells. He had built them for fun, but now they were the only hope. He shouted, "Everyone, come here. Climb on these floating nests. They can carry you to safety." At first, no one believed him. But when one nest floated gently above the water, they gasped in surprise. Soon, dozens of peacocks jumped on the floating platforms. Neo also used his rain catchers to collect clean water for drinking. The glowing lanterns he had made earlier helped light the dark night. From the hill, King Pavo watched in amazement. He spread his wings and shouted, "Follow Neo. He will lead us to safety." Under Neo's guidance, the peacocks reached higher ground. The rain continued for 3 long days, but Morvana's people stayed safe because of Neo's inventions. Finally, the clouds broke apart. Golden sunlight returned to the valley. The water slowly went down, and the peacocks saw their village shining again, a little damaged, but alive. King Pavo gathered everyone near the pond. He looked at Neo and said, "When others showed only feathers, you showed courage and wisdom. You reminded us that true beauty comes from helping others." All the peacocks bowed to Neo. For the first time, the young inventor felt proud, not for how he looked, but for what he had done. The villagers rebuilt their homes, stronger, smarter, and brighter than before. This time, they added Neo's inventions everywhere, floating nests in case of floods, wind fans, and glowing rain lamps. Morvana became known not only as the most beautiful village in the world, but also as the most modern one, where every feather shined with purpose. Herb sparkles. To celebrate their survival, King Pavo declared a festival, the Festival of Feathers and Dreams. The entire valley sparkled. Lanterns floated in the air, rainbow lights danced across the sky, and music filled every corner of Morvana. Neo stood beside the king, his eyes glowing with joy. The young peacocks gathered around him, asking questions about his inventions. Neo smiled and said, "Don't be afraid to be different. Every new idea begins with a dream." That night, all the peacocks danced together under a giant rainbow that stretched across the valley. The stars above seemed to whisper, "True beauty is not what you show, it's what you create." Years passed. Morvana became famous across the animal world. Visitors came from faraway forests to see the glowing streets, the floating nests, and the shining ponds. King Pavo grew old but proud. Before his final days, he called Neo to his side and said, "You will be the new guardian of Morvana. Protect our valley with wisdom and kindness." Neo bowed and promised. Under his care, Morvana grew into a place where technology and nature lived in harmony, where every young peacock learned to dance and to dream. And every evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, the golden light reflected on thousands of colorful feathers, a living rainbow over the land of peacocks. Morvana was no longer just a village. It was a symbol of beauty, creativity, and unity. Rainbow Peacock. Moral of the story: true beauty does not live in colors or feathers. It lives in ideas, kindness, and the courage to be different.